Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is April, the owner and photographer of ACB Photography, and I am here on this lovely Saturday minding my own small business. It's going to be a big business one day. Watch. Anywho, I am back today with a short tutorial. I want to give some of my fellow photographers a brief introduction to Photoshop. I realized that my previous tutorials have just been jumped straight into Photoshop and not realizing that some of you may not have that much experience in Photoshop. I know myself, I started with Lightroom. I was always intimidated by Photoshop until I just decided to get in and just learn it one day. So this tutorial is going to be a brief introduction into Photoshop to try to get you the basics and get you started. Come on, let's go. So let's get started. We are going to open Photoshop, and when you do, this is going to be your main, well, this is my main screen. From here, we're going to open our image, and we can do this several ways. We can go to right here and just click open. We can go up here to file and then click open, or we can do, I love shortcuts because shortcut is Command O or Control O. Once you do that, this is going to pop up and you go to the area of your photos, whether that's on your drive or on your computer, and you're going to select the photo that you want to edit. I am going to choose a photo of myself from my first senior ambassador session. So I want to choose this one. I'm going to go to here, and just as a disclaimer, I shoot in RAW. So when you see the photos come up on Nikon, it's going to be a NEF file. So that's what that is here. And what we're going to do in Photoshop, we're going to have to process that raw photo first, and then we'll commence to the basics of Photoshop. So we're going to click here, and we're going to select open. Now, when you open a raw file on Photoshop, it's going to take you to Camera Raw. It's a plug-in in Photoshop to process the raw image first. So that's what the first thing that we're going to do. And I'm going to set up my screen here using this button right here to do a side by side. The before is going to be on the left hand side and after is going to be on the right hand side, so we can look at it as we go to see how we've changed the picture. So the raw image must be processed first, and what that does is gives you the opportunity to change anything about the image that you didn't like as it was shot straight out the camera. The reason why I always shoot in RAW is because raw images store all the information from the photo. So let's say that we got the highlights blown out on the photo in camera. Well, we can fix that in RAW. So that is typically where I start. I start with my highlights, and the highlights is adjusting those is going to take the brightness of your image. Like if you've got too much brightness in the area of the lightest part of the image, we can reduce that. So I'm going to start with that to reduce some of the brightness of this image. I'm going to lower my highlights a little bit. As you see, with me lowering the highlights, see how my shirt looks a little bit gray? So if you lower the highlights, you're going to have to increase your whites just a little bit to get that detail back. But as you can see in my face, it took out some of that brightness. Looks a little bit better to me. So I'm going to increase my whites to get that whiteness back in my shirt. Also, for the shadows, I always increase my shadows just a little bit until I can see some detail in the hair. So I'm going to increase my shadows, and as you can see the difference between the two, we can see the better texture of the hair. All right, the next thing I go to is I bump up my contrast just a little bit, just to make those colors pop just a little bit more. Let me zoom back out. so we can get the full image. All right, and then the blacks. When you increase the whites and when you increase the highlight or decrease the highlights, you lose some of that black in the picture. So I'm going to go down to the blacks and decrease those to make the blacks pop again. If you can see that, looks a whole lot better already. And then I go down here. Sometimes I have to bump up the vibrance and the saturation just a little bit. I don't think I really need that on this image, but I'm just going to show you what that does. The vibrance, I don't like that. I'm going to leave it like it is. Maybe just bump it just a little bit. And the saturation, I think is fine, but I'm going to show you what that does. That makes you look really, really orange or really, really pale. I'm going to leave it just like it is. All right. So the tricks on zooming in, as you can see this magnifying glass on the screen, if you hold down your left click button, hold it down and slide to the right, increases it, slide to the left, decreases it. And if you want to get the image back just like it was centered, double click the left click and there it's back. Just a little nugget there. So the next thing I do is I go down here to my clarity. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit and I'm going to bump it up just a couple of stops. If you want to know how I get my image is super, super sharp, this is how. Every step that I just took is how. The sharpening, I really don't mess with it too much, but just for video purposes, I'm going to bump it up just a little bit so that you can see the before over here and the after, how much sharpness and clarity is in there. And that's all I'm going to do right now. Once we process the raw image, we are going to select open right here in the bottom right hand corner. That's going to take us into Photoshop. All right, so from previous videos, the first thing that I do, and as a side note real quick, whatever tool that you use last is going to be the tool that's highlighted when we first come in. So that's why the crop tool is there. But here's the image. As soon as you open it, the first thing I'm going to do is make a copy of this background layer. Easiest way to do that, quickest way to do that is hit Control or Command J. J makes a copy. All right, I'm going to undo that. And just remember, anything that you do in Photoshop can be undone. It's as simple as, like I said, I love to do shortcuts, Command or Control Z. Or you can go up here to edit and hit undo. Whatever you just did, it will undo. All right, so let's go ahead and make a copy of the background layer. The first way is Command or Control J. Sorry. And the second way, you can go here, drag this layer to the plus sign. That makes a copy. So there's so many different ways of doing that. So we always start on the copy so that we've always got this background layer. If you notice, the background layer is locked. We'll always have this original picture no matter what we do to it. We add in Photoshop, we work in layers. So each layer, we're going to do something different to the picture. And finally, we'll have the final picture. With working in layers, if you do something that you don't like, you can always delete that layer. That's why I love it. Okay, so let's go over the main things that you're going to use in Photoshop when you get in here. The first thing I start with is the crop tool. It's right over here on the right. So right here under crop, if you go up to the top and click ratio is where you can set the image size to what you want. The standard, as I showed you in another tutorial, standard is 4:5 ratio, and that is the best ratio and dimensions for posting on social media. Instagram, Facebook, that is the ratio that's going to get your full picture in the image. All right. So with this being a headshot, I am going to change this ratio to a 1:1 square ratio. Once you click on your crop tool, the box is white. There's no lines in it. You go up here and you're going to select your ratio. I've got it on a 1:1 ratio. In order to activate this tool, you need to click inside the box before we go reshaping. So click and you see the grid lines come up. That's when you know you're ready to resize your photo. So you're gonna go up. I'm going to crop this off at the logo of my shirt and see that there's more room on this side. I'm going to take and drag this down a little bit to make it a little more even. A lot of times you have to play with it because my daughter shot this photo and didn't leave enough room on this side, but we're going to make it do what it does. So once you've got the image cropped like you want it, you're going to hit the check mark up here. And that's where we're going to start. All right, so shortcut to resize this image so it fits the full screen is Command and 0 or Control and 0. And that's our full image there. So another tool that you're going to use a lot in Photoshop is one of the healing tool options. There are several, and this little band-aid right here. There is the spot healing brush, the remove tool, the healing brush, the patch tool, content aware move tool, and the red eye tool. I'm just going to tell you briefly the tools that I used. The main one is the remove tool. It is amazing. I'm going to give you a sample of that. As you can see, I've selected. You go here and you're going to right click the box to select which tool that you want. And I'm going to select the remove tool. As you see, I've got some pimples right here. All you need to do is brush over them and they're going to disappear. Brush over. Now you do have to be careful. Did you see that right there? I'm going to hit Command Z to undo that. You do have to be careful because sometimes if your brush tool is not small enough, it's going to leave little dot, make it look like a little circle, and that's what we don't want. Just zoom. My recommendation is to zoom in as close as you can so that you can see your image real good. You see how good that remove tool does? Now let me show you another tool I use too. We're going to go over here and right click. I use the spot healing brush. Decrease the size. The shortcut to decrease the size of your tool is the right bracket and the left bracket. The left bracket is going to decrease. The right bracket is going to increase. Also, you can come up here, just click the arrow and size it that way. So all these tools, you're just going to brush over the blemish, and it's going to fix it for you. And what it does is taking pixels around from where you're working and kind of replicates those pixels. But, oh, my eye looks weird. But like I said, I use the remove tool most of the time. And it works wonders. You see this stray hair right here from my eyebrow? If you just paint over that, it's going to fix it for you. I'll get into these tools in depth in another tutorial, because you've got some eye stuff here. Boom, it's gone. Yeah, I know I'm putting myself out here with this one, but hey, we're not perfect. But yes, it even works on like things that you don't want. Anything that you don't want in there, it's gonna fix it for you. Got a little gray straggly hair, boom, it's gone. It's wonderful. So I highly, highly, highly recommend the remove tool in your editing. Okay, another tool that I use a lot, another way to edit as well, is the clone stamp tool. What it does is basically you're going to take a sample from one area and you're going to stamp it onto another area. So we can do that with our blemish corrections as well. So what we do, we got the tool activated here. We're going to hit Option on Mac until you see that little bullseye symbol. And so that bullseye symbol is the part that we want to recreate. So if we're trying to get this little pimple out right here, I want to replace it with an area that's closest to it to make it look good. So I'm going to hit Option and click. That's going to get our sample area. And then we go over here and just brush over top of it and it's gone. I'm going to do that one more time right here so that you can see. So this little pimple right here, I want to remove it. I'm going to take a sample by Option and click. Sample of the area that I want it to look like, and I'm going to come over here and I'm just going to brush over it and it's gone. For what we've done so far, you can, on your layers over here like we did the copy, you can turn it off and on so you can see your progress. So we're turning it off, we can see all the pimples. Turn it back on, that's what we've done so far. All right, and you can also name your layers here so that you know exactly what you did in each layer. I should have started with that first. So what you do is click this twice, double click it, and it's going to highlight. And you can type in there, since we started with blemish removal, you can type that in there, blemish removal. Or you can name it whatever you want to name it. All right. Resize it. So another tool that will get you started with Photoshop that you're going to use a lot is a new tool, the generative fill and the generative expand. On the generative expand is a tool that is automatically used during your cropping. And let me show you that right quick. Let's go back to our crop tool. All right, so if we were to crop this outside of this area here, remember that we always click inside to activate the tool. Say I want it to go just a little bit more to the right. Since we have no pixels there, right now it's set to transparent. So once we click OK on this, it's going to keep this right here as transparent. So if we want to expand our image to make it match what's in the rest of the image, we're going to change this from transparent to generative expand. Now, I suggest you do generative expand if you have, like me, my shoulder is missing right here. If the background is just like not a solid color, I recommend doing generative expand. But say we got my full body in frame, my shoulders there, we have the backdrop behind me, it's a solid color. In that instance, I would recommend doing content aware fill, and we'll get into that later on. But for this video, we're going to do generative expand just to see the options that it gives us. So when you do that, you got the picture where you want it. You're going to click OK up here and give it a moment, and it's going to give you, first of all, 3 options on the expansion, and you're going to choose the one that you like the best. All right, as you can see here, it gave me the rest of my arm. Let's just go through right here at the bottom. Like I said, it gives you 3 options. Let's go through the other 2 options just to see what they look like. Okay, gave me my arm and some backdrop. Third one, it just kind of extended up under my arm a little bit. Let me look at the other 2. I think for this video, I think I like this one the best. So we're going to go with this one. So that. For me, the next step, what I do is combine these two layers into one once I use a generative expand, or you can create another layer. But for this video, I'm going to merge this layer, the generative expand, down with the blemish removal, so it's one layer instead of two. So the long way of doing that is going to layer, and you're going to go down to merge down, and it combines those two together. Easiest shortcut is going to be Command or Control E, and it's already going to merge those two together. So as you can see, we still got this piece of backdrop right here that is not filled in. So we're going to fix that right quick, and what we're going to do is use another tool in Photoshop called the lasso tool right here. So what I'm going to do is go and I'm going to select the area. Once you complete your selection, it's going to make little marching ant lines around it. That means it's selected. So the easiest way to do this is go down here to this little toolbar and click Generative Fill. And I'm not going to type anything in there. I'm just going to hit Generate. And once again, it's going to give me 3 options. I'm going to select the best one, and then we'll go from there. All right, the first one's okay. Let's see what else they suggest. That one's okay. That's the one. I really like that one. So we're going to go with that one. And to decrease your file size, it's going to have these 3 options on there. So if we go to the other two, let's start with the first one. And click here and delete that variation. Then we're going to go to the second one. We're going to also delete that variation. So we're just left with that third one. So our file size isn't too huge. And once again, we're going to do Command or Control E to merge that down with the blemish removal. All right, so we've got a good start on this photo. Like I said, I wanted to show you the basics of Photoshop. And I think that right there will get you started. Stay tuned for my next video. I'm going to go more in depth in Photoshop and show you, different layers, different things that you can do for your photo. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that it helped you just a little bit, just getting started with Photoshop. Stay tuned. I've got more videos to come with more in-depth features about Photoshop. So just stay tuned. If you're not already subscribed, please subscribe to my channel and put your notifications on so you're alerted when I post the next video. I will see you soon with more photography tips and tricks. Bye.